Howie, a frequent SCG grinder.
Yes.
Amusingly, I actually, when asked about my opinion of Matt Howie a few months ago, said something to the gist of, yeah, Matt's pretty good. I mean, he's not going to win the next Pro Tour or anything.
Except for the fact that he has an opportunity to win the next Pro Tour, which is very scary.
I would love nothing more than to be proven wrong.
Okay, it looks like we have land go on both sides, steam vents, then countered back with Temple Garden.
Josh is on the play. He let
Yeah.
the Temple Garden.
Okay.
Josh is playing a 4-color mid-range deck. If you were watching the sideboard last round, I talked a little bit about it. It's sort of a hybrid between the Jund mid-range decks we've been seeing all day and the Naya decks that we saw in Block Constructed.
Whoa, there's something we don't see too often.
Yep, Gatecreeper Vine has Borderland Rangers 5 through 8, or are the Borderland Rangers Gatecreeper Vines 5 through 8? I'm not really sure how good which is in Josh's deck, but yeah, this is how he gets value out of his Restoration Angels and also just absorbs a fair bit of damage.
Huh. Yeah, because I'm so used to seeing Borderland Ranger in that position instead. Okay, well, we'll see what happens here. We have Chase drawing another land. Looks like he has 2 lands in his hand. I can see the Charm. I can see Geist in his hand. Okay, we pass back.
Geist is a problem for a lot of opponents, but Josh Dickerson is actually running 4 Bonfire of the Damned, so Geist might not be a problem for him.
Well, it's the first time we've seen it all weekend. Bonfire Dam, we talked about it not being in any of the decks. But if it works for Josh here, I mean, it is a great removal. It seems like everyone wants to play the Overload on the Mizzet Mortem instead.
It looks like Josh kept a pretty land-heavy hand, and note how he's played his lands in this game, too. He's concealing the fact that his deck has red mana in it.
That's very smart. Okay. Yeah, because he's got 2 of them in his hand that he could play. Oh, no, he did show the mountain, though, when he did the...
Did he? Is that what he actually mined for?
Yeah, he went for a mountain.
Well, now he's playing the Blood Crypt anyway. Well, that's fair.
There's a Gatekeeper Vine. 1 in the green defender. When it comes to the play, search for a basic land or a gate card. Reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your library.
Well, Chase can go ahead and play out his Geist here. He won't really see incentive not to, but he does not know that Josh's list could very easily punish him for doing so. He's going to decline.
Pass his turn. The Detention Spear, Charm. Okay. Looks like he's got a Borderland Ranger he wants to play here. Let's get even more mana.
He's definitely making mana.
Well, we've seen that a lot this weekend. Just if you go wander the tables here, you'll see board states where both sides have like 10, 12 lands out there each on the board. Okay, so he gets a swamp.
It's a very island-looking swamp, one of the older ones.
Yeah. Old school lands. All right. Does look like he has Garruk in his hand. He has that along with 3 Vraskas, which we have seen in people's hands but yet not played.
Yep. Vraska is coming up in the world, I think, is the best way to put it.
Okay, well, there's the Charm to draw a card.
Looks like a Dissipate. And I think he just got a Snapcaster Mage as well. He's going to land pass. I'm kind of wondering what's going on here. Chase's deck can play sort of a control role, but it really wants to definitely attack. I'm actually wondering does he have 2 Detention Spheres instead of a Geist Detention Sphere? That would explain why he's holding back. I think that's what he actually has. Looking at it, the card art is like dark and blue for both of them. So.
Yeah, it does look. They look vaguely familiar from when you look at those card arts between the 2.
In that case, it looks like he kept basically a pretty slow hand, not really knowing what he was up against. And unfortunately, Josh is playing a deck that is designed to go much deeper than him. It's just got way more top end.
Okay, so he will probably dissipate this.
Yeah, he's not going to let that Garruk land. Note that Josh played around Izzet Charm here by casting Garruk on 6. That shows that he's probably aware of this deck.
Alright.
There's the Dissipate. And that is a Snapcaster Mage in Chase's hand.
And I believe that is a Rakdos Return in his hand also for Josh.
Searing Spear for Chase, that's not one of the cards he really wants in this matchup. It has very few targets. Half of a Huntmaster is not really what you want to be doing. Borderland Ranger is probably one of the better ones, but it feels kind of yucky. It's a burn spell, which is nice, but it's not one that actually catches Vraska. It would have been a pretty reasonable answer to Garrett if he'd have decided to let that spell resolve, but he obviously didn't have the Spear, and generally speaking, you don't want to let them get the Wolf anyway.
Okay, swings in for 2, taking Chase down to 16.
I'd expect an in-step Searing Spear on the Borderland Ranger, assuming Josh makes no plays.
I believe he did pass, and there it is.
He had to take the 2 so that he could leave open his Snapcaster Mage Dissipate line, just in case Josh had something really powerful.
Okay, there's an unsummon. Still no offense.
Yep. I think the unsummon is most likely to actually play with the Snapcaster Mage in this game, more so than attack Josh's creatures.
Okay, well, Josh has plenty of options. He's got Vraska in his hand, he's got a Thragtusk in his hand, he's got a Rakdos Return, and he will pass turn back.
Yeah, as long as he keeps making these land drops, Chase is actually kind of the one under pressure to do something. Eventually his hand will just be 7 cards and he has to start discarding the spells.
That's where it's Snapcaster or something just to do something, you know, get cards out of his hand.
I think that may be what Chase is considering right now, as he appears to have 2 Snapcaster Mage and a Dissipate. So that means he's already, got double back counters. He doesn't really need to hold on for too much longer.
Okay, he's going to use the Charm.
Okay.
Draws another land. And another Snapcaster.
Yep. Chase is going to start that inch towards victory that we've become so familiar with watching Delver all these weekends.
2 at a time, 2 at a time.
I find it kind of interesting that the Gatecreeper Vine didn't block there. Like, what else is it going to do, right? It can't block anything bigger. Literally, there is not a creature with more than 2 power on the ground in Chase's deck.
Well, like you said, he might be trying to...
Restoration is really the only thing I can think of, but resolving that's already like kind of a win.
Okay, so he's going to cast the Thragtusk. That's probably going to be met by a Dissipate or a Snapcaster Dissipate.
Chase doesn't really know what's going on either, so he may be scared about tapping out and want to just straight up Dissipate. Yeah. Which is reasonable.
At this stage right now, you can't afford that loss. Okay, there's a Keswick Wolfrun, which would do something if there was a creature out there he could play with.
Well, he can use it to make his Gatecreeper Vine into a 1/2 when he blocks, which will allow it to trade with the only pressure Chase has deployed. That could actually be, a little relevant.
Not how I've expected Keswick Wolfrun to be used. Yes, I'm giving my defender 1/2 and trample, so I can block your guy and kill it.
Gatecreeper Vine doesn't look very fast, but might be good enough here.
All right, let's see what it is.
I block, yeah. Block and pump. The Wolfrun makes his non-block last turn a lot better. If he had it, then I definitely agree with that decision.
Okay, there it is. Out goes Snapcaster, and potentially in comes another one.
I imagine he's going to play the Geist he drew this turn.
Oh, he did draw Geist. Oh, no, I think
awkwardly,
he passed.
Wow. It's really awkward because if he had gone Snapcaster Dissipate last turn, then now he could play Geist with Dissipate up. Obviously, he didn't know he was going to draw Geist this same draft, but he was certainly kind of punished for being afraid there.
All right, well, Josh with 7 mana, still staring down a potential 2 Dissipates in the graveyard, not knowing that his opponent does have 2 Snapcasters in hand.
These are the situations where you realize that manlands really change the standard game. If Josh just had some manlands of basically any kind, this kind of game would significantly favor him. And instead, he's just kind of floundering, trying to get something to happen.
Yeah, it's like he's throwing out targets just for him to shoot down. Yeah, okay, so fine, you shoot that one down.
He's got to make one stick, but the problem is he only has so many threats, and Chase actually has a very good hand to play this particular kind of game. Chase went ahead and allowed the Vraska to resolve, which is a bold choice, I would say. He assumes he can just ignore it, which very well might be the case with Geist of St. Trapped around.
Okay. Detention Spear?
That's one of his better answers to a Vraska, but I don't even know if he wants to blow it. Like, realistically, Vraska isn't doing anything against his game plan right now, and his game plan is certainly going to be beat my opponent to death with this Geist of St. Trapped.
Well, passed over to Josh. I think Josh has... Okay, he will tick it up to 7.
I approve of that choice.
Yeah, it's going to destroy non-land permanent. That would be itself. Okay, Farseek, more mana. That he will let go.
He has no syncopates in his deck, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, the main changes Chase has made from the Chiba list are that he added an Azorius Charm,
Okay.
and I believe a 3rd Detention Sphere for the 2 Izzet Charms. He may have tweaked a different number, maybe a Snapcaster Edge or something, I'm not sure. But I know that he cut those Izzet Charms.
And he does have Tameo on the sideboard. But we're not getting there yet. We still have game 1 here going on. Okay, well, Chase has plenty of mana.
He now has enough mana to cast Geist of St. Trapped and hold Snapcaster Dissipate up, so I imagine that's what he's going to do.
Okay. That's 2 Snapcasters. The charm. Does he have 1 or 2? Oh, Detention Spear?
Wow, he's going to Detention Sphere. I mean, I guess we kind of have to do that just because the Vraska can make Assassins, but we're actually not bad against Assassins with our hand. Like, that hand can just kill them. The Detention Sphere will kill all of them.
Yeah.
I think I would have rather gotten the Geist onto the board.
Okay, well, it looks like he drew the Defender Wall that allows him to draw another mana, which will not be met with anything. It will be... So he will take another land out.
I think Chase may be moving a little too slowly in this game. He has the advantage of being able to tempo his opponent out with, a threat and like 2 or 3 counter spells. But Josh has a deck that's filled with spells. Like, he's getting rid of all these lands. At some point, he's going to just start drawing them. And when you start, like, peeling bonfires off the top, and your opponent's out of counters, it's real bad.
Okay, there's another land for Chase.
Well, we have, like, the best Geist of St. Trapped ever now that it's locked up with an Unsummon and a Snapcaster Dissipate. He will not be dying.
Well, that's good, because if he could get 3 swings in it, it's over with. So let's see what happens here. Chase draws a forest, giving him now a total of 12 land, including the Keswick Wolfrun.
It's of his 23 total. Chase may wind up going Snapcaster Searing Spear on the Gatecreeper Vine during the end step, just to clear out the Wolfrun pump.
Okay, there's the... And Snapcaster.
Yep.
Searing Spear.
I like that line. It's better than blowing your Detention Sphere on a Gatecreeper Vine.
I think you just recommended that. Alright, so he draws. Now can swing in for 8 this turn.
And because of the other Snapcaster Mage in his hand, Josh actually is capable of presenting lethal, although I doubt he'll go for it, considering he'd be vulnerable to just about anything if he did.
Okay, there it is. Alright. Hunt Master.
I think we have to Rakdos return and then try to resolve our Hunt Master.
So Rakdos returns for...
You have to do it for their hand to make them counter it. So you just do it for 5. I mean, like, you can add more for the incidental damage, but...
I don't think he's worried about that right now. I think he's more concerned about, there it is, okay.
I think 3 is an acceptable number, but I would not fault him for going to lands -4. It's going to do it for
5.
do it for 5, you might as well get 6. Yeah,
Okay.
they're the same number.
I
So.
say make sure you don't lose the ability to cast your Huntmaster. Okay, there's Jace.
You know, actually looking at it, I think 3 was the better number because if your opponent's hand is Snapcaster Mage Syncopate, then you can beat a Snapcaster Mage Syncopate by holding open 3 additional lands when you play your Huntmaster. So the 3 damage makes you vulnerable to Syncopate. If Josh has done his homework, he knows probably that this list does not run Syncopate, unless it's Todd Anderson.
Yes.
Who made that change.
Which is a very possibility next week when we see this deck in New Orleans, that it'll probably be running at least 1 or maybe 2 copies of that. Okay, so Huntmaster sticks.
But Unsummon and Detention Sphere will be able to put Josh right back down to 4 life. Or sorry, much lower than 4 life. 2 life. Well, I guess not much lower. Searing Spear. Oh, okay.
Well, you're just trying to let's just win it right now. Let's not even worry about the next turn.
Well, I mean, if I'm right, it's awesome. And if I'm wrong, it's just like, oh, well, another turn.
And I had a 1 in 45 shot? Or 2 in 45 shot?
We got Pillar Flames, too.
Yeah.
Right? So we're doing okay.
And those ones...
Thunderbolt Hellcat as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we can cast... No, we can, yeah.
Alright, so unsummon the token.
At a minimum, we have done some of the token.
Yeah.
It's possible you could just attack after that. You're still presenting lethal, and you get to hang on to your Detention Sphere, but I don't really see a lot of motivation to hang on to the Detention Sphere at this point. The only thing you're actually scared of your opponent doing is bonfiring you, and you have an unsummon for the Geist if that happens, so might as well just get rid of both his creatures and attack.
Alright, let's see what he does here. This game is taking a little while.
I guess I would Detention Sphere instead of Unsummon, because you have Unsummon Snapcaster Mage
Okay,
for Dissipate. Wow, really?
I'm curious about that one.
I don't want to do this. If I'm Josh, I'm immediately trading here.
Get him in. No problems with that.
I just have to draw a bonfire, and I'm right back in it.
Yeah.
At least in my head, that's how it works.
Okay. So he'll chump with the wolf. Take 2 to go down to 10.
This is going to lead to a really awkward play when Chase has to post-combat Detention Sphere Huntmaster to avoid it from flipping.
Oh, yikes.
But we did offer our opponent the ability to trade. The thing is, I think our Snapcaster Mage was better than his Huntmaster. To have it in play because we have Unsummon.
Yeah.
So I would have just pre-combated this Detention Sphere rather than given the choice.
I'm really wondering why he's holding back on that Unsummon. I mean, maybe he's waiting for lethal with Geist, but...
I think it's clear. I agree he's waiting for lethal. I just don't really agree with the choice.
Anytime you can clear the path and get in there, that's the way I like to go. Just keep my opponent nothing out there, and everything looks good to me. Okay, so another Farseek leads to Temple Garden, which he will not pay the 2 life for because he does not need the mana. I believe he passed the turn back.
Yep.
So now he gets in for
Lethal.
yes.
Right? No, sorry. He is 2 points shy because of the trade last turn.
Okay, and I don't think there's really much Josh can do here.
The Unsummon in the hand locks it up. There are no outs in Josh's deck.
Yeah, he's got Paraska, but that's not gonna solve the problem.
Oh, well, you don't really have anything better to do than Caster, so let's do that. Nebraska will try to destroy the Detention Sphere that has a Huntmaster underneath it, but A, that won't win the game, and B, Chase doesn't even have to let him do it.
Yeah, if he chooses not to.
Yep, he's going to unsummon the Snapcaster Mage for the Dissipate.
Showing him what he's going to do there.
I don't think I would have even done that, though. Like, this actually, like, doesn't seem like a great hold. The Vraska will get back the Huntmaster and put Josh to 4, but it won't actually generate a blocker for the Angel.
Yes.
So he was still dead to the board.
Well, that is game 1 to Chase Lamm, who is currently, I believe, X1?
Yes, both of these players, this is table 1, actually, the table 1 pairing.
Okay.
These are 2 of our 3 X1 players. They've been whittled down. Dan Musser is the third one, and he was paired down this round at table 2.
All right. So we can look at Chase's sideboard here.
Or sorry, XO players.
XOs, yeah,
I
3
misspoke.
3 XOs, okay. He has 2 Dungeon Geists, 2 Negates, 2 Purify the Graves, 4 Thalias, 2 Jace Architect of Thoughts, 1 Tamayo, and 2 Supreme Verdicts. Against well, you got to see a lot of the deck, but
he didn't really get to see the key cards, which the big one that he didn't get to see is Restoration Angel and Bonfire of the Damned. Those are the 2 that were never shown, and those are 2 cards it's really important to know if your opponent's playing or not. So that will probably affect his sideboarding. I don't imagine he'll sideboard exactly the same once he actually sees Josh's deck, assuming he even does in this game.
yeah.
That said, the Thalias probably appear reasonable. He didn't see any creatures that actually beat Thalia in a fight.
No, and that could shut off a lot of things for him, make things a little more expensive, especially if he knows he's on that, I need to get ramp and get going. Yeah, that's going to help out a lot.
Now, if you see your opponent's playing green, but you never see them play a Thragtusk, and even in a game that long, do you still assume they're running it?
Well, you have to.
I agree.
Who plays green without Thragtusk? That's like,
It makes the Thalias a little weaker, is the primary relevance, I think. But the other cards, like, I wouldn't bring in any of those Planeswalkers. You saw your opponents playing, like, Vraskas and Rakdos' return. Tapping out for a Planeswalker just seems like the swiftest way to find yourself
on the wrong
quickly
side
down
of the
a game.
Yeah. Okay, on Joshua's side, he's got 1 Staff of Nin, 3 Pillar of Flames, 2 Abrupt Decays, 1 Sever the Bloodline, 2 Zealous Conscripts, 2 Duress, a Thragtusk in the sideboard, 1 Oblivion Ring, and 1 Rolling Tremor.
Well, I'm pretty sure you have to bring in the Rolling Templar.
Tumbler, yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good way to take care of
the Duresses are also going to be probably okay. It's awkward because Chase can actually hide his permission pretty well with Snapcaster Mage. Dissipate the first spell, rely on Snapcaster Dissipate for the next spell. That beats Duress pretty handily. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they are both shuffling up here. But like you said, we were talking a little bit earlier about your run. I also want to talk about the show you do every week with our friend Seti P.
Seti P, who is also at Pro Tour Return to Ravnica. Actually, why don't we just real quick, for my own edification, check on Cedric. Cedric's always mad that I don't cheer for him enough, but he's on 21 points as of round 12, so that makes him 7-5. All right.
Out of contention for top 4.
Yeah, that's not quite where we want to be, but we can't all be Stanislav Sivka on 36 points at the Pro Tour.
No. So, the people at home that don't know about Game State, talk a little bit about Game State.
Sure. Game State is a video podcast that I do with Cedric Phillips, Adam Ragsdale, and Stephen Flaval. Just a motley crew from around the North America, I have to say, because we've got a Canadian in there. And mostly we just recap on Mondays the past weekend's tournaments. It's a kind of a talking head show. It's a video podcast, which is different in that you can actually see us when we do it live, and we offer both an audio and video recording of the show.
I think one of the things that you guys really did, now this week's episode I really liked because you broke down what your picks were going to be for the Pro Tour. How do you feel about what you've seen on the cards as far as how you think it is?
First off, I think my picks were basically optimal. Like, going back, I don't think I would change them, even if you tell me the answer, I'm just like, well, like, that's not a reasonable thing to expect. I probably missed on middle creature, and I might have missed on big creature. I think both of those categories were real big toss-ups, and you just kind of had to figure out what you were going with. I still like my choice of Primeval Titan and Restoration Angel, but it's just like, it's really easy for them to get beat by the various contenders because they're all going to be like played basically a similar amount.
Yeah.
Everything else wound up about the same. Thoughtseize wound up being a way better sorcery than I expected. I'm like pretty sure it was Thoughtseize, whereas going into the tournament I just thought it might be Thoughtseize.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are back. Let's see, that would put Josh in. Chase has...
Looks like he's got a nice little 2-lander there, but none of them come into play untapped. Glacial Fortress, Clifftop Retreat, and then a handful of spells. He did bring in his Tameo, which I'm not sure if I agree with. I think he saw an opponent who's kind of vulnerable to a long game effect. The issue is that all of his opponent's effects are like really good against Planeswalkers specifically.
Yeah. Josh is going to go down to 6, which will not help him at all on the play to 6, especially with the fact that he is a 4-color deck.
Yeah.
Notice it. Now, all weekend long, it seems like because of the lack of basics, you're seeing a lot of players forcing themselves to come in, playing the lands tapped, not willing to take the 2 life, willing to go down, willing to wait another turn to do it. And it's cost a couple of the players some games by being a turn slow.
Yeah. I think it's actually like pretty cowardly to be deliberately avoiding the shock. Like, I'll avoid the shock when it's convenient. Like, obviously on turn 1 you should just put your land into play tapped, but like if I can actually make a good play, then I'm going to take that 2 life. We spent a year learning the value of 2 life with thanks to New Phyrexia. Like,
yeah,
I think everybody gained a very profound understanding of what 2 life is worth exactly.
It's worth infinite advantage, and if you ask John Finkel this weekend, it's worth way more than 2 life.
Oh yeah.
Being able to look at the hands, it's amazing how that card has been able to cross over and just do so much work, so much information. You can never get enough information. Also
very valuable to the Niv Magus deck that SCG Blue played. Jerry T and Brad Nelson were probing and mutagenic growthing and Apostle's Blessing-ing. Oh, that was a Steam Vents, I guess. I think he drew a Steam Vents, right?
Yeah.
He had Clifftop Retreat, Glacial Fortress, so that's fair game for Chase.
Hey, Duress.
Duress, interesting. I don't normally like duressing before I'm going to resolve one of my sweet spells. It's very common for a deck like Chase's to leave open mana just for the turn that matters, like for 1 counterspell. You leave open 3 for a Dissipate, and then you just get duressed and the sweet spell resolves.
Okay, well, we just saw Charm, Land, Dissipate, Mayo, the Steam Vents, Pillar Flame, and Detention Sphere.
Pretty sure we just take the Dissipate here. Our opponent only has 1 piece of permission and a bunch of situational spells. I imagine we take the Dissipate and Chase spends the end step cycling that Azorius turn. That's my guess.
Considering the fact he does not have Snapcaster right now in his hand to make that Dissipate come back, and he's only at 2 land anyways, it will take him a little bit to get to 5. Okay.
Tameo.
So
interesting. If Josh is mana screwed, he may have to take the Tameo because he can't guarantee that he'll be able to answer it.
Okay.
But I can't see his hand well enough to know for sure. That's the only situation in which I think you take the Tameo. Otherwise...
But he just played the gate, so he should have access to land that he needs. But, okay, well, we'll see. He's got Vraska in hand.
Does he have a 4th land? I'm not sure. It looks like no. If he doesn't have a 4th land, then...
Okay, he does.
Okay, he does. I really don't like the Tameo. Our hand has Vraska. Our opponent's going to like tap out for Tameo, and we can just play Vraska.
Destroyed. Perfect. Well, what are you going to do?
Once you get into the long game, Chase's deck can do more things than Josh's. It can just literally cast more spells. That's kind of the problem.
I believe that was a Rakdos return?
We don't have a 5th land. Okay. I'm willing to accept the discard if we didn't have a 5th one, too.
And he's missing red.
Yeah. Missing red is a slight deal. If we had Vraska and lands, then there really was not much reason to take the Tameo. Even if we only had 5, we can generally just assume we're going to draw one.
Okay, and there's a negate that he brought in. Thundermaw, which is another card this weekend that's doing really, really well, making a really good showing this weekend. Obviously, in this deck, it has a home. Todd Anderson piling it to win after win with this, and now Josh is in a situation where, Vraska just gotta
I don't know if he can kill the Thundermaw here because, well, he's going to. His opponent has Pillar of Flame, so this is the fastest way to get that Vraska into the graveyard, but it is a 2-for-1. Assuming you don't think 5 damage is worth a card.
Yeah, 5 damage. No, that's only a fourth your life. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Ain't no thing.
Yeah. All right, so that Pillar of Flame took care of that. Draw. It looks like a Farseek there in his hand potentially, which he will go to get his red source, which he desperately needs. Oh, a negate right now would really be good on his part.
I think Chase kind of has to play the Dissipate probably because he doesn't want to let his opponent know he has the negate.
Oh, he let it go.
Or he has to let it go. Those are the options. I don't think you want to give away negate just because like having a 2-mana counter when your opponent expects you to have only 3-mana counters is a pretty big edge.
I think I would have a very hard time letting Josh get to that 4th land. I mean, sure, I don't know. It's just it's tough now because now he has access to everything, including Rakdos Return, which is in his hand, and look at
we have
Restoration.
I like not countering when we know we're going to deploy a threat, and if you look at Chase's hand, he's got 3 counters, so all he really has to do is get this Restoration in there a few times.
Okay.
Against a mulligan, the decision to go into an attrition fight is actually pretty good. Your opponent just literally has 1 less card, so as long as you can trade 1-for-1 over and over, you'll actually come out a card ahead naturally. You don't even have to accrue a 2-for-1.
Okay, it looks like he drew Thragtusk there, which would be another nice way to be able to get some extra life there. Put out a threat for once. I'm surprised with this 4-color mid-range that you're expecting. As we see, Josh is at 15 thanks to Thundermaw Hellkite.
Well, I just took 3 from the Angel, so he's actually going to 12.
Oh, down to 12 now, yes.
Our judge at the table has apparently had an internet problem, so we're going to try and announce the life totals to keep our director in the loop as much as possible.
Okay.
Sorry that we fell behind on those guys.
Not a problem. We're going to go for it.
Rakdos' return negated. I really don't like burning the negate when our opponent knows we have Dissipate. Like, just play the Dissipate and then negate the next thing.
Okay, well, he will swing in this turn for another 3, taking him down to 9.
And that Restoration Angel is on the inexorable march. I think Chase may just have it locked up at this point. He has Dissipate, Snapcaster Mage in his hand.
And Detention Spear.
That's 3 attacks all by itself.
For some reason, if he wants Detention Spear to come into play, he can do that also.
Yeah. Josh is going to need to resolve a Thragtusk at some point in this game. That's one of the few ways he actually has to handle what's going on. He only has 2 Dreadbore to actually straight up kill the Angel, and he has a few Angels of his own, but...
Okay, there's a Borderline Ranger, which will not stop the Restoration Angel.
No. Interestingly, Josh's own Angels are one of his best weapons in this fight because they're the only instant speed card in his entire deck, basically. Actually, no, literally. They are the only instant speed card.
Wow.
So he really needs to be able to threaten spells on both turns, his opponent's and his, in order to get a Chase to tap low. But without an Angel, he can never really do that.
Okay, Group comes into play.
Probably not.
Met with either Dissipate or Snapcaster Negate.
Chase could also just let it go and decide to race it, and planning to Detention Spirit on his own turn.
Yeah.
That way he only has to race 4 damage a turn when he has a 11-point head start, or actually 14-point head start after his Angel attacks.
Okay, well, he's thinking about it.
He's definitely considering it, and I would too. I mean, it would take a lot of things to go wrong for you to lose the race against this Garrick.
Yeah, he would have to misplay really bad or do something really wrong for Josh to get back into this game.
The issue is that Chase has a plethora of riches, so like it's kind of hard to say, yeah, that spell can resolve. When I have 3 counterspells, I don't even know if I'll need to use all 3. It's really awkward to get to the end of a game with, several spells you could have played still in your hand, win or lose. If you lose, it's very awkward.
Yes, then what have I done? Okay, well, it looks like he's going to let that resolve.
Yep. I think the decision is acceptable.
Okay, the wolf comes out. We did not see what he drew there.
I would, for the record, I would probably err towards countering to Garrick, but I don't think it's like crazy to let it resolve.
Okay, so another 3 down to 6.
Pass. We're not even going to detention sphere. We're just going to take the really aggro line. We've got 2 counter spells a turn for the rest of the game, basically.
Okay. So is this where Josh might try to throw down Thragtusk, thinking maybe he doesn't have anything?
I think what I want to do is if I have another land, throw down the Thragtusk, and then try to bonfire for 1 so that Garrick can fight off the Angel.
Okay.
It's not going to work because Chase has 2 counter spells.
Yes. But he didn't. But not by not countering Garuk, he might think he might not have anything in his hand to play. It's a possibility.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Josh even has the land he would need to make this particular play. So I'm not really sure what he can do. If he goes down to 3, it's really close to a death sentence. He'll have to resolve a Thragtusk or he's dead to any Searing Spear off the top ever.
And Searing Spear this weekend in this deck, especially in this deck, has done great work. From being at removal to even the fact that it can end a game.
It's funny because it doesn't feel like it kills a lot of the more relevant creatures.
Hey, bonfire for
Goes
1.
to the face. Well, as I thought he might. Well, he's threatening the fight with Garrick here, which means Chase is going to have to counter.
Okay, there's the negate. And he is 1 mana short from casting the Thragtusk.
What's his other red card in his hand there? I can't really tell. It might be a Dreadbore. Is that what it is? He's shuffling those cards really quick.
Okay, he creates another wolf token.
It's his Rolling Templar. That's his last card.
Okay, to get more mana.
Next turn is going to be do or die for Josh. If he doesn't solve the board state or resolve a Thragtusk, it will be die.
Yeah, he was really hoping to sneak something through there with that Bonfire of the Damned. But I mean, this is a case where maybe
we just didn't attack.
Going to okay, that was interesting.
Yeah, I generally like attacking for 4 in this position.
Like, there's no way that Chase is going to do anything about it.
If he has a second Angel, you're dead anyway, so there's not really much point to not attacking. In fact, it's strategically better to attack with your creatures before you use your Garrick so that you can fight an Angel if it tries to block.
Yes.
But in this particular situation, there was actually no downside to attacking for 4 damage.
No. I don't know if he has an answer here.
Looks like Chase has him locked out, and it actually looks like this matchup is pretty bad for the archetype that Josh brought. Obviously, he didn't draw too well. He had a pretty rough hand in the first game and a mulligan here, but without Restoration Angel, he's really just trying to tap out and play something big.
I believe he has a Restoration Angel in his hand now.
Well, she's a little late to the party.
Yeah, it's going to get dissipated, if not once. If for some reason he would be able to counter back, which he can't, it can be dissipated twice because he's got 2 more of them in his hand. So let's see what he does here. Does he go for the...
Curious. I imagine he's going to go for the Thragtusk.
But he does not... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but he does not have enough mana to even cast a Restoration Angel. Yeah, that will be met with Dissipate.
Yep.
And that should be met with a shake of the hand. There it is. Congratulations to Chase Lamm winning 2-0 against Josh Dickerson's 4-color mid-range. Again, the deck that was popularized last weekend over in Japan.
Yep.